Assad Koshul. Welcome to Member Spotlight.
Walaikum salam, Kashif. Nice to be here.
Thank you for being here and thank you for being part of this journey. Would love to hear from you about how you started, where you started, and where you are now.
Great, great. So, by profession, I'm actually a CPA and I am a certified professional in talent development. I'm Scrum certified. I'm also change management certified. So, my professional journey actually started I decided to study accounting when I was still in high school because I wanted to be in business for myself. And I figured one way to do this was to study accounting from very early on. So that was that was a seed that was planted in my head. And my professional background spans 14 industries, both in emerging and developed markets, from accounting, finance, operations, franchising, real estate development, restaurant business, training and development. Uh, and so that is, I think, the unique skill set that I bring to the projects that I'm engaged in. So my very first job, I was actually in internal audit in the New York City public school system for my first years of my professional career. Then I went on into business for myself in different franchises. Then I became controller of a German company. And then I was U.S. controller of Stryker Spine. Stryker makes knee, hip, spine replacements and medical equipment. And I was the U.S. controller of the spinal division. And then from there, I relocated to Pakistan for a number of years for family reasons. And I also I conducted business and worked within the Pakistan market, which was also really helped broaden my thinking and experience because I was actually on the ground for 4 years working, and now I'm based here in Chicago. So,
All
so
right. So, share with us, you founded the Game Changer Mindsets. What was the idea behind it and what you are doing within it?
great, great. Yes. So something about training development brought helping create expansive thinking, teaching ownership and anticipation was always something that was important to me. So again, as I mentioned, I was a finance professional and I achieved success in that field. But what was I was always passionate about is being able to give people transformational skills in which they could fly on their own. So, and for example, between 2010 to 2014, I lived in Pakistan and I worked with an American IT-based company. And what became very apparent to me, even before I had started the first day, just visiting the location, it was apparent to me the challenge was not that the resources there cannot code. The challenge was, could they framework an idea? Could they express an idea? Did they have critical thinking? Could they do situational analysis? Could they anticipate the needs of the client? And I said, the best way for me, and then also, how do I teach them, being in Karachi and Lahore, the American mind? Because 90% of our clients were American. And so what I began to do is I taught them through different movies. Because, and and none of the movies were, say, Clint Eastwood or Rambo movies, right? Because and I said, I can leverage the power of film to create visual proverbs and lesson plans. And that was the genesis of Game Changer Mindsets. And this is something I had done even before that, as early as 2000 and 2001, when I was doing trainings in the United States. I was using clips from different movies, historical, not necessarily documentaries, and building lesson plans around them. So that was the trajectory. So to give you an idea, how do I? Okay. I think I have to share like this, right? Oops. Is my screen being shared? Just a moment. Okay. Sorry. Apologies. I saved this file here. But how do I share screen, Kashif?
You go into present and then,
Present.
yeah.
Yeah, present, and then it says slides, video file, or share screen. Oh, here it is. Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, share screen. There we go. Simple enough. Yeah, maybe I just. Okay. So are you able to see my screen, Kashif? Oh, here
Not
it
at
is.
the moment.
Okay, not yet. Yeah, sorry for the disruption here. Yes. Do you see it there?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
So this is game changer mindsets, and our tagline is building leaders one clip at a time. Because what we do is we take a video clip anywhere from 30 seconds to usually 2 and 2.5 minutes, and we build lesson plans around the clip. And so when we built the company, we were looking at, okay, what are the job skills, the top job skills and business skills that people need, even if they are trying to find their own company for next year and the year after and beyond. And it was like, okay, how do you really teach analytical thinking and innovation? How do you teach active learning and learning strategies? Because you just don't want to teach someone a subject matter. You want to teach them how to think so that they're capable of solving the challenges they face in the business environment on their own. How do you develop complex problem solving and critical thinking and analysis and creativity, originality, and initiative? And even this importance of social influence. Ultimately, you have to be able to work in a group if you're going to be successful in almost without exception. And so how do we also teach that given how fluid the business environment is? How do you technology design and programming and also reasoning? And most importantly, like here, resilience. How do we teach resilience and grit? And so we designed this curriculum to teach this with from multiple perspectives.
Okay.
And we said, okay, what are the real workforce challenges? Because the workforce challenges that are in 2024, 2025, 2028 are different than the workforce challenges that existed very early in my career. And so you have issues of communication barriers, even though we're all connected via email and these different technologies, but there's still communication barriers. How do you deal with cultural differences? How do you understand team structure?
Mhm.
What's the difference between, say, a flow chart and assigned roles, and still respecting that, but also being creative and the power to push things through? How do you effectively manage team interactions and cross-border collaboration? Very few companies are operating in only one geographic area, right?
Mhm.
Work-life balance. I remember as early as 2003 or four, studies were proving due to email, people were working up to 12% more. So, of course, people who are ambitious, they work a lot of hours, but most of us still want work-life balance. And career development is important, especially dealing with international emerging markets. One of the challenges of the young resources is they may snack on jobs, and they have jobs as opposed to a career, right?
Yep.
And then they make decisions which are not good for them and definitely not for the company that they're working for.
Mhm.
And in one form or another, how do we operate in such a globalized environment? And training and development of talent, this becomes the key, because unless there's a process of ongoing knowledge acquisition, which
Mhm.
then can be transferred into skills and wisdom, uh, companies will inevitably struggle to meet the global challenges. So it's what we have done is to design it to reduce the barriers and to enhance the mental armory
Mhm.
and grit of your staff to be able to meet these global challenges.
All
Um,
right.
yeah, and also, like, I think this would be helpful if you think. So we looked at this and we said, okay, how are we really different? Well, one is, in the general market, when you bring in a consultant or a provider or a trainer, they provide advice for a certain solution for a certain circumstance. The way our curriculums are built is we say, no, we're going to provide you tools of inquiry and analysis, right, that you deploy on your own.
Mhm.
Another major thing is we leave you with a framework that applies to multiple circumstances rather than just one scenario. Because what we really want you to do is we want you to have a toolkit that you can deploy on your own, because you know your business better than an outside consultant. You know, and we don't charge consulting fee to implement best practices for a specific challenge, leaving you to come back to us. What we really say is we want to position you to solve your problems, not just today, but also tomorrow, right?
Yep.
And lastly, our focus is not on what to think about a specific challenge or a problem or concern. What we're really telling you is how to think. What is inquiry? What are the tools of inquiry? And how can you use triadic logic to solve the problems? Because whatever your challenge is, let's just say we're talking here August 18th, 2024, your challenge in August 2026 may be different. And,
Yep.
and what we want to be able to do is give you a conceptual framework on how to rise to that challenge and how to be able to do that on your own. You know, the analogy I can give is, so say if you are I can give, say, even my children, I can tell them to dig a ditch. I can give them nothing. I can give a spoon. I can give a shovel, or I can give them a bulldozer. Our intention is to give a bulldozer.
Okay.
And that the way the curriculum is designed, since you have the power of the video, because, you know, we've seen these movies, Iron Will, Miracle, the 1980 Olympic hockey team, Invictus, the 1994 Nelson Mandela and the national rugby team, Gridiron Gang, Remember the Titans, you know, the movie with Denzel Washington and him becoming a coach of a high school football team. And we use the narrative power of those movies using multimodal learning, audio and visual learning, and then visual proverbs and conceptual framework to heighten the understanding and capacity of the participant.
Okay.
So,
Great. No, so no, that's definitely incredible. Can you share some of the stories that where you have delivered this content, and what was the outcome of it?
great. Yeah, so there was one scenario in which I was involved in an IT company. They only had 12 billable resources, and I needed to scale it. And so I began to teach them, you know, the biggest deficits in that environment was ownership and anticipation. Like, you know, we have this challenge, okay, so, you know, what's on my plate I have to deliver. But by sending an email, you can punt this ownership to someone else for a day or 3 days or even 2 weeks. And how do I teach? And then the second big thing is, how do you teach anticipation, right? That, like, even in sports, when you throw the ball, even in football, you don't throw it where the receiver is. The quarterback throws the ball where the receiver is going to meet the ball. Same thing in soccer. You pass the ball where the other player is going to meet the ball. So I said, how can I teach them anticipation? And so I did this through these movies. So, like in that scenario, we were able to take a company for 12 billable resources to over 160 billable resources. And that company actually had a successful exit, right? And so we've done it in that environment. Like, there was another scenario in which I was dealing with a board, and they were involved in a lot of community activities. And they were also, and it's inevitable in that type of environment where you're going to have people who are very socially conscious and eager to contribute to community, but some of the contributions may be a little short-sighted, right? But how do you really plan for long-term? So we introduced a conceptual framework. We said, okay, if you're really looking to make long-term effective change, what would you need? We asked them, and people said, well, you need a vision, you need to work hard, you need to have resources, you need to have you need to have good project managers, you need to leverage technology. And I think that's all good. But then we provided them a framework. We said, basically, fundamental level, you need 3 things. 1, you need a vision/mission that you generally agree on as a board. 2, you have to have character. Because you know, we're social creatures. It's human nature for us to gravitate to people with strong character. That's why when we see athletes like Muhammad Ali and others who faced adversity, not just in the ring but also outside the ring, we're so inspired. And we see them as, or Jackie Robinson, we see these sorts. So 2, how do you teach character? Like when we are teaching character through the Jackie Robinson story. Jackie Robinson is not the best player in baseball, arguably, but he's probably the most patient player, the most resilient player. And this is why, you know, their parents to this day, they named their child after Jackie Robinson. You know, and why? And what made him really successful? His grit, determination, and his ability to control his rage and anger. Because he was really being mistreated, right? He understood the importance of self-control. Okay, and so we teach this in these scenarios. And then 3, how do you teach competence? And competence is just not understanding a project management, a project plan. It's time management, okay? It's all of the other things that are the mechanics of delivery of a project, right? the mechanics of successional planning. Okay, so it's three things: it's mission slash vision, and there I'll use them interchangeably. And obviously, in a nuanced way, we can't use them interchangeably because there's a difference. We said mission vision is at the top of the triangle. Bottom right, we would say, is character, and bottom left is competence. And if you want to make sustained improvement, whether it be in the community or the social environment you operate in or in business, you need all three, or you will be out of balance, right? Because we do have people who have a vision and they're articulate and they may have the faculty to express themselves, and that's great, and they can momentarily inspire people, right? And they may even have some character that people are gravitate towards them. But then do they on their team have people with the competence that can take that energy and excitement and put it into an actionable plan for sustainable growth? Okay. And now the thing is, the era of you graduating from college, going and joining a company and being there for 30 to 40 years and retiring is gone forever.
Yes.
And so especially this is extremely vital even for the young professionals. They have to have a toolkit, and not just interpersonal skills, that they can navigate ambiguity. And navigating ambiguity was important, but maybe earlier in our career, because we're probably roughly the same age, it was something that was a necessity for executives. Yes. Now, if you're middle level, you have to be able to navigate ambiguity because there's so much creative destruction. There's so much technological change. There's even so much social change.
Yep.
Like, how do you even build a team when half your team is working remotely and they've never met in person? But those are the cards you have, and you have to play those cards. So how do you maintain group cohesion and deliver results? So these are things that we teach, and we use the narrative power of sports movies because it's very interesting. I mean, from a sociological perspective, how do groups unify very quickly? One, generally around, say a religious identity. And two, the locker room. Sports. So even if you don't play sports, you still understand how the value of sports. You understand how generally, look, the field is 100 yards for all the players.
Yes.
And so this is why, like, I was thinking, okay, especially among younger professionals who don't remember a pre-smartphone world, because the people who are graduating from college now do not remember a pre-smartphone world. And I was like, okay, how do I really teach them the importance of self-control? How do I really teach them the importance of grit and determination? And the Jackie Robinson story is really provides. It's just a fantastic story. Then you look at other sports movies. Like, you don't become champion, right, by lacking discipline. So we teach discipline through this. Like even problem-solving methodology. No matter which methodology you can follow, there are like 4 to 6 generally used, but they all require one thing: discipline.
Yes. No, that's definitely amazing stuff that you are doing there, and how companies can benefit from it. And so definitely I would suggest all audiences to check out your website and look into those elements, and that how they can benefit from it, and how their employees can be more productive and more future-looking company they can become. So. All right. So last thing, as we are on top of the time, last thing I would request you as an entrepreneur, what advice would you give to fellow entrepreneurs?
I mean, one is, you're going to face uncertainty. So do you have the grit? 2, make sure you have a mentor. Even at this age, I have a couple of mentors that I speak to regularly. Okay. And 3, work for the money plus the vision. If there's a social component, a social contribution that you're making, that's going to make the work that you do a lot more meaningful. Like it's very rewarding for me to be able to train, say, a 22-year-old young person in a developing country in a burqa, and then 2 years later they're working on not even international standard projects, and that's extremely rewarding.
Hmm.
And because at the end of the day we are social creatures, and making a contribution from that perspective, that's also the power supply that keeps me going to work so many long hours. One is, I would be classified, say, it's someone who's an achiever. But two, the satisfaction of being able to help people that you've worked with thrive
Yes.
professionally. So, and again, we're in the era of broad-based thinking. You should know a little bit about a lot of things.
Hmm.
So this is why I think our curriculum is unique, because we are just not a subject matter in one area. We know a little bit about a lot of things. We've been in different industries. We've traveled internationally. And this allows us, like even when we were building out the lessons, to look at a clip that's only 30 seconds and say, what's the negotiation aspect of it? What is
Hmm.
the driving the behavior? Um, what is the discipline aspect of this lesson? What is the deflating aspect, deflating a pride aspect of this lesson? And that's what makes us very unique. And so I would encourage anybody that if they want to be entrepreneurs, broad-based thinking. It's great to read 50 books, but read them on 5, 6 different type of topics.
Yep, definitely. No, thank you very much, Asad. Happy to have you here and with us on this journey, and looking forward to seeing great successes coming out of Game Changer Mindsets.
Great. Thank you so much for having me, and it was great to be with you, Kashif.
All right. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Thanks. Wa alaikum salam.